Week 6 is in the books. Today's Wednesday, October 16th. And we're going to talk some best ball. We're going to see how the teams are doing after 6 weeks. One more week, and then we're halfway through the best ball regular season. And then, for those of you who don't know, it's weeks 1 through 14, typical for fantasy football playoffs, and then, or fantasy football regular season. Then you go to fantasy football playoffs, weeks 15 through 17 in best ball. That's tournament based. But yeah, let's take a look at these. Get some insight. Pretty similar to last week. The at stake did change a little bit because we did enter 3 best ball resurrections. Those currently aren't doing the best. Let's actually start out with the best ball resurrections here. We do have 1 in 3rd place, 1 in 4th place, so not doing horrible. 1 in 10th place. But let's kind of look at the roster construction of these teams since we haven't seen them at all. So this one actually did very well. 140 points this past week. Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, Bo Nix. Bo Nix actually the scorer here with that rushing upside. This was a Seattle, Jacksonville, and then Denver stack. I think I mixed in the Denver stack just randomly at the very end because I needed one more QB. Just with having Trevor Lawrence and Geno Smith, I just figured I needed one more. But with the Seattle stack, we get Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, who is now set up even better to smash with the Tajay Spears injury. Kenneth Walker looking like a nice PPR scam whenever they're losing, and also just one of the best pure rushers. So that's nice to see that Charbonnet doesn't really have that big of a role right now, for this team at least. I don't have a lot of Kenneth Walker on my teams from the beginning of the season. Bucky Irving obviously smashing right now. It was big that Rachaad White was out. Hopefully Bucky Irving starts to take over this backfield. Now the only problem is this past week Sean Tucker actually outperforms him. So if we go and look at that game real quick, again, Bucky Irving got the start, but the Bucs do end up blowing out the Saints, and in turn Sean Tucker actually shows what he can do with 14 carries, 136 yards, and a touchdown, as well as 3 for 56 through the air and a touchdown there. So he does actually outperform Bucky. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a running back by committee with 3 running backs. Maybe Rachaad White gets traded or phased out, but as of now, it's not looking great. We'll see what happens this upcoming week and then come back to this team in this situation. Ty Chandler could get a start this week with Aaron Jones' groin injury, even coming off of a bye. We'll see how Aaron Jones is. Alexander Madison set to have decent weeks if he does indeed continue to take over the backfield from Zamir White, even when Zamir White is healthy. AJ Brown back immediately makes an impact for this team. DK could have had an easy 30-point game last week, which would have put us in first place, but gets called back on like a 50-yard touchdown. Was literally an inch away, a toe away from having another red zone touchdown. And there was one ball that Geno Smith underthrew. Seemingly, I think he was getting rushed off his back foot, but DK ended up not coming up with the catch. But if it was on target or, thrown better, it could have been a 3rd touchdown. So his role in the offense isn't going to change. They want to pass the ball a ton. Drake London emerging as that nice top 12 wide receiver we wanted him to be. He could even be like a top 8 to 6 option if this Atlanta offense keeps rolling. George Pickens, maybe he'll do better with Russ. Has been having a few drops. Christian Kirk, hopefully he gets traded. He's not going to do much with the likes of Evan Ingram back. Gabe Davis does get 2 touchdowns this past week. That's why we took Kirk and Davis with the Trevor Lawrence stack. And then Devon Vele, we just took him over Troy Franklin, over Marvin Mims. Cortland Sutton wasn't an option, but just I think a big body. Maybe a good red zone option, can steal some touchdowns for Denver, and a good mix with Bo Nix. And then Brock Bowers, just my highest drafted tight end is Brock Bowers on the year. Just had to keep going back to the well. Dalton Schultz, I mean, he's not looking like a smash. Theo Johnson is getting worked into this offense a little more. but I like this team. If the Jaguars can do something, but who knows? Maybe they need a coaching change. This team in 4th place, 123 points this week. Kyler Purdy team. So I go 2 QB, 6 RB. Ray Davis actually has a good game for this team. Antonio Gibson gets the start, doesn't do anything. Corms just is relying on a Kyron injury. Jalen Warren doesn't do anything. Another Kenneth Walker team. Jahmyr Gibbs gets outscored by Montgomery. Another AJ Brown team as well. One of my most drafted receivers this year. And I just kept drafting him because I knew he'd be coming back from the injury. Hopefully that Jalen Hurts also gets healthier here because he was one of my most drafted QBs. I was high on both of them coming in. Ayuk let down. McConkey has a good role in the offense. Need to see more passing volume. Adunze is going to be boom bust. Same with Lockett. Mike Williams is now kind of cashed out here with Devontae Adams going to Jets. He needs to get traded to make an impact. Alec Pierce boom bust. Adonai Mitchell boom bust with AR. So this is just like a boom bust receiver room altogether besides AJ Brown, who should have that consistent role. Then McBride and Njoku. Nice thing about Njoku now, these two guys could make their way into the weekly lineups here. Marvin Harrison's out this week with concussion most likely. And McBride's just going to be a top 3 tight end the rest of the year no matter what. And now Njoku has no Amari Cooper. The bigger thing would be if Jameis Winston actually gets to start. But we'll see. And then the last team we drafted here is in 10th place. It only scored 97 points. Obviously can change. We still have 8 weeks left. Lamar, James, Deshaun. This was actually a Cleveland build. And with Lamar team. But I go Jahmyr. I went double RB here, so I went Gibbs, Kyron. We did lose the bye week last week to Kyron. We were hoping Rashad White was going to play, but when we drafted this team, he wasn't injured. Same with Tyjae Spears. Spears ends up getting injured. White ends up getting injured. So we get no other RB points besides Spears 2.7 before he gets injured. And then CH is actually going to be activated this week. Returns to the active roster. So hopefully he can make an impact on this team. Kyron's back. No more bye for him. Gibbs back. No more bye for him. Tyjae Spears has no bye, but he does have that hamstring injury. Zay Flowers, great game. Tank Dell set up to smash with Nico Collins and IR. Amari Cooper set up in a better position now in Buffalo. Jerry Jeudy, this actually helps this team as well because now we only have Jerry Jeudy with these quarterbacks. So honestly, this team's shaping out to be pretty nice if it can continue to, kind of mesh. Same with the Njoku, Jerry Jeudy with the Cleveland stack. With Amari out, the targets go to these two and can funnel. Hopefully Adam Thielen can come back after this, what was it, hamstring injury? Doesn't have to have surgery. Team's next 4 games. So yeah, hopefully Thielen comes back. Michael Wilson could have a good big game this week with Harrison out. Christian Watson going to be that nice touchdown red zone threat, and Pittman's just meh with AR, but decent team. The tough part was just no running back score. One sec, chat. All right, so that's my resurrection teams. So now let's actually go back and look at the teams that are moving on. None of my super flex teams, per usual, they're doing pretty bad. We've looked at this little board team every week. This Baltimore Vegas team is smashing 774 points, way ahead of second place still. Lamar, Baker, these are the top 2 quarterbacks right now for fantasy. Minshew gets benched, but not even worried about that. Along with Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Jerome Ford does get injured, but Algier has a big week. Herbert doesn't really play anymore. So the running back room is kind of relying on just these 2 guys. Chubb is coming back as well. Hopefully Ford can maintain like a passing down role when he gets healthy. Algier will have boom bust weeks, more contingent on a Bijan injury. I don't think any of these three guys will have roles. Maybe Keaton Mitchell by the end of the year, but that would be like playoffs for fantasy. But receivers, Harrison out, so that's not going to work. Mike Williams, we just talked about him. That's not going to work. Jefferson was on a bye last week, but Jacoby Myers does have the receiver room to himself in Vegas. Boom bust, Tyler Lockett, Demarcus Robinson should do better with Cooper Kupp back, like we say every week. And Romeo Dobbs makes a nice impact in his first week back after being suspended. And then Brock Bowers, Mark Andrews. So, I mean, this team's pretty solid. These little board one teams are better. This first place team is insane. We're in first by over 100 points. 844 total. It's Lamar, Jordan Love. I don't know. I think I just took Kenny Pickett. I don't even know why. I think that was before he even went to Philly. But Breece Hall, who looks better in this Jets offense after Saleh gets fired, gets more utilization, less Braylon Allen. Ramondre was hurt this past week. He should be okay, though, moving forward. Devin Singletary, need him to be healthy. Zach Moss, need him to be healthy. Dameon Pierce breaks off a big run this weekend. So, running back room, pretty sturdy. Just a few of them, by a few I mean more than half of it, injured, but nothing major, at least that we know of yet. The receiver room is where it really crushes. We get Devontae to the Jets, which is big. Debo, boom bust. Jaden Reed, super consistent right now. Deontay, consistent. Shaheed injured, but we do get Worthy. Maybe Elijah Moore can do some more things here with no Amari Cooper. He plays his way into a role, I would assume. Bateman looking like a solid receiver for Baltimore. Noah Brown is playing, I think, in 2 wide receiver sets. Just not really getting the ball. He did have 8 targets last week, so we'll see if that works out. Jawan Jennings kind of needs Debo or someone to miss to make an impact, but the 41 points we will take the 1 week that he did have the impact. So, and then Kittle Freiermuth, I mean, Kittle's smashing as a tight end. If he stays healthy all year, tight end 1 for sure. This other team we have here in second place, not by a ton, but Kyler, T-Law, and then Russ is actually going to potentially get the start. Like Tom said, it's kind of a competition right now, but moving into that convo, the Steelers brought both of them in to evaluate both of them throughout the season. It was an initial plan that Russ would start to start the season, but obviously plans change when Russ picks up a calf injury and Fields does decent and the Steelers are winning, so no need to rush Russ back. Now that Russ is fully healthy, and the Steelers are kind of 4-2, we're tied for the division lead. I mean, with the Ravens, not necessarily a Super Bowl roster that we have, but it's important that we do take a look at Russell to see what he has for the Steelers' future. Probably not going to be great, but it'll be easy to bench him now that we know what Fields has in him and what he does for us. Whereas beforehand, it would have been harder to bench Russ because once you bench him, there's no going back to him because he's the veteran and he was the assumed starter beginning of the year. Whereas we bench Fields, he already didn't expect to start. He kind of just came in for us, had to do some things, and never expected to start. And now he gets benched. He knew that could have happened. I don't really think his confidence gets affected. I think Russ doing bad could even improve his confidence, in my opinion, because it shows that he was more important to the offense. That's my 2 cents on it. We'll see what happens. Obviously, as a Steelers fan, I hope Russell brings us what we need, which is better passing efficiency. But yeah, anyway, back to this team. Kind of dependent on Pacheco getting healthy. Nick Chubb could be back this week. Yeah, set to return week 7. I don't expect him to have a full workload, but with Jerome Ford out, it's going to be Pierre Strong, Deonta Foreman, and Nick Chubb. Luckily, this team has Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. It's also a Dobbins, Dowdle, Justice Hill team. So running backs crushing, especially with Pacheco and Chubb coming back. This could be a great team. Only issue, Rashee Rice obviously not playing, so the receiver room is pretty weak. Jamar Chase kind of carrying it. Pittman and Downs have been okay with Flacco. We'll see what AR can provide them in terms of efficiency week to week. And then we have Lockett on another team that's doing well. Just boom bust. Definitely part of that offense still. Marvin Mims is going to be a 0 all year. Zay Jones should eventually be back on the roster here. He's back on the active roster. Okay. Ban was lifted Monday. All right. So he did pick up a hamstring injury. Great. But anyway, he's back on the team. Andre Richavosh just provides us touchdown upside. And then Kelsey Freiermuth, the nice thing about this team, Kelsey with no Rashee Rice, just basically takes that Rashee Rice role. So you can expect him to be a top 3 running or top 3 tight end. Before we go any further, appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you're here on the live stream or if you're here watching it back, just going over our best ball teams. We're doing this every week. Kind of just have like our own kind of recap to see where we're at through the weeks, to see what kind of opportunities we have, what teams are kind of dead in the water. We're getting to the point where some of these teams will be dead in the water, and what teams have a chance. I just like doing this personally. I like to give you guys my POVs from when I was drafting, what I think right now, give some insights as we look through the rosters, just moving forward in terms of player rankings and everything too, on what I think is gonna happen the rest of the year, as well as just having fun, right? And talking fantasy football, talking football in general. It's like what I like to do during football season. At the same time, if you guys are interested in doing underdog drafts, there will be no more best ball tournaments until near the end of the year when the mitten comes out, which would be best ball but for fantasy football playoffs. So that's always fun if you want to get into that. Now, if you're into DFS or any sport, and there is best ball for all the other sports too, including baseball, baseball, basketball, hockey, even golf, I think. If you guys are interested in that, you want to do pick'ems, whatever, there's all of that. This is the best place to play fantasy sports, in my opinion, for money. Use my code in the description, link in the description, code TEMPTATION. That's TEMPTATION. Temptation. Obviously not Fantasy Spitters, but Temptation's my gamer tag, what I go off of when I play video games and whatnot. But if you use that code, you will get a deposit match. So yeah, not affiliated with them or anything. It's just a free code that everyone gets. But again, appreciate you guys for watching. Please hit the like, subscribe button while you're at it. Leave a comment. Let's take a look at these other teams. We did have, I want to say there was a Hound Dog team. Yeah, we have a 3rd place Hound Dog team. Let's actually go take a look at what happened this past week. It only got 96 points. We were actually up in the runnings here, but these two teams kind of pop off this week. Jordan Love, Geno Smith. Saquon didn't have a good game. Jacobs didn't have a good game. Montgomery did have a good game. Mostert was on bye. Hill was on bye. Ridley's been just such a bust with Levis. Yeah. So this team's all right. I mean, I don't think I was the biggest fan of this team. It has some pieces. You get Jacoby Myers now with the receiver room to himself. Hopefully this team gets a bump with Tua back, but that's not going to be till week 8 at the earliest. So this week's still going to be kind of a 0-ish maybe for Tyreek. Let's look at our fast puppies. Been dominating fast puppies. We have 3 first place teams, a 2nd place team, a 4th place team, and a 3rd place team. I think they're all tight though. Like this one, I only scored 87 points, probably because, I mean, Lamar had a good game. I don't know if Stafford's going to ever outscore Lamar necessarily. But D'Onta Foreman does have a little bit of, not a complete 0, but basically a 0. Needs Zach Moss to be healthy. But Montgomery's cool. I mean, past the bye already. Kamara's been solid as well. JJ was on a bye. That's probably one of the reasons. Cup's been out. with Cup coming back this supposedly this week and Jefferson back, this team should be right back on track because we have Higgins, who's been, outperforming Jamar Chase, at least on a target basis. Mike Evans will be back after facing off against Lattimore. Judy has the receiver room to himself, hopefully. It's just their quarterback plays horrible. Fortune McMillan kind of loses his role in that Tampa offense. Palmer's been near zero. The tight ends are boom busty, but we have 3 of them. I like this team. It's definitely a fun one. Let's look at our second place team here. Again, Lamar's probably going to carry most of this team. Herbert already passes by, which is nice. Derrick Henry, running backs are solid. Chuba. CEH is actually going to be back. Got activated. Eckler. Been pretty decent. It's nice the Commanders are good. Jefferson back. This team will be boosted from Devontae moving to the Jets. And then same stuff with all the receivers we talked about. Besides Sutton, he's a dog. Bo Nix is a pup, but he can get the job done. Still going to be spike weeks for Cortland Sutton. He's still the one on that offense. Brandon Cook's out. Bateman's been good. Rice most likely a 0, but this team does have Bowers. John will be okay when Tua comes back week 8, and TJ should be back. Question is whether he'll be ready for week 7 against the Lions or week 8 game against. So most likely we're getting Hawkinson back in the next 2 weeks, which will help that team. This first place team here, Hurts, Bo Nix, 2 QB team. Wild to go, Hurts, Bo Nix, 2 QB team, and then we only got 5 running backs. Wilding out here. I think we went 8 receivers. 2 that are going to be zeros all year. Rashid Sheets hurt. Coleman, now that Cooper's there, is, I don't know, maybe he gets more opportunity in terms of like being open, but yeah. Nico and IR. This team, I think Dallas Goedert picked up an injury too. Yeah, hamstring injury. I think this team's going to fall down the board. It's been held up by decent running back play, but I'm not the biggest fan of that team. I don't expect much out of it. This next team, two QB team again with Allen and Cousins. But this was actually been proven to be pretty good, but apparently I didn't realize that these two had the same bye week, so that's not good. I don't know if I didn't know that when I was drafting or what, but we're going to miss out on QB points that week. So that's week 12. And then the running back room, solid. Hopefully JT's back. Singletary, need him back. Tank Bigsby has carved out a nice role. Braylon Allen should have had a touchdown last week. They got hauled back on a holding call. Receivers are pretty good. I mean, Curtis Samuel's going to lose now because of Amari Cooper. Cooks is out. Jalen Polk gets better QE play, but he doesn't look good himself. Malachi Corey's going to be a 0. Devontae Walker's. There's like 4 or 5 zeros damn near on this team. So, not sustainable. Don't like that team. See if this team's asleep in this 4th place team. Hurts Williams, I like that. Hall Kamara, Chubb's coming back. Charbonnet, Mitchell's a 0. Samuel Moore, Allen, Rice is now a 0. PPR scam Wandale, 0. Njoku gets a bump. Not the worst team in the world. This 3rd place team. Love, Rogers, Carr. Okay. Decent. Bijan, need Pacheco back. Kamara, 0. Meh. Touchdown upside. Olave gonna be out this week. Shaheed out. 0. None of these are really like giving me hopes that we could win the fast puppy. Now, the puppy 3 also dominating this. 4 first place teams, a third place team, and a 5th place team. Then we got 10th, 10th, 12th, and 11th. These ones are dead in the water. I'm not even sure what this team is. We've got great quarterbacks, Hurts and Mayfield. So how is this team so bad? Makes sense. Yeah, AJ Brown teams were kind of just dead for me. All my Jalen and Brown stacks. So that team's dead in the water. But anyway, let's look at this first place team. 798 points. This team's crushing. It's a Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin stack, Stafford Carr. Double stack with JSN, Bowers Kincaid. Nice. Yeah, this is a sick team, especially when Tua comes back with HN. Dobbins crushing. This team's sick. I like this team a lot. Need Shaheed to get healthy, but this team's real good. I enjoy that one. That one has a chance. This next team first. We're in first by 0.22, by the way. Decent. We've been getting love from all quarterbacks. Fields gonna be on the bench right now, but could be in play later. Swift been shown out. Gibbs, not where you want to draft him in terms of his production, but he's good. Chubb coming back. Chandler might get a start this week. Jefferson back this week. Higgins popping. Godwin, number 1 receiver in fantasy, basically. In PPR, at least. DeMar Douglas coming on with better QB play. Maybe Van Jefferson has an impact with more of a passing attack with Russ. Ferguson, Hunter Henry. Decent team. I like that team. This quarterback room spread out evenly, pretty nice. Needs Pacheco back. Jonathan Brooks getting activated could help. It's a nice AJ Brown team as well. Olave gonna miss, but we got a Terry. Been doing really well. Mooney, Douglas. Okay, this team's nice too. Get the nice Hawkinson Darnold stack. You have to think Darnold only gets better with more weapons. Murray Stroud, 2 QB, 6 RB, 2 zeros here. Trey Benson doesn't look like he would be the guy if Connor went down. More of like a mix between him and DeMercado. Again, Ford hurt. Chase Brown looking good. Collins on IR, tough. I mean, if some of these Collins teams can sneak by, they'll be solid, but Samuel gonna be a 0. Tolbert looks good. The receiving room is solid. Need Neighbors to play though. 2 weeks of no Neighbors definitely hurt this team. We could have much more of a lead here. McBride and Fant. Let's take a look at the third place team real quick. Hurts, Rodgers, Garrett Wilson team. Mike Williams is 0 though in the dust. Hollywood Brown in the dust. But the running back room is solid. As you see mostly with these teams, the running back rooms are very sturdy. A third place team in the Puppy 2 and a first place team. This first place team, Josh Allen, Geno Smith, JJ a 0. Are these? Okay, different bye weeks, cool. Gibbs, Cook, Javonte, Zeke. Okay, solid running back room besides Zeke. London show now, we talked about him. Higgins talked about him. Addison off the bye should continue to have a nice role being schemed up by KOC. Jameson Williams continues to just get crazy long touchdowns similar to Rashid Shaheed. These two fast outside guys. Roman Wilson hopefully getting worked into the offense. The Steelers need him. This team needs him. Slayton gets some nice productivity from him with no Neighbors. Need Thielen to come back. Ferguson, a solid. Let's check this third place team out real quick. Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Bryce Young's a 0. Don't like the ETN there. Again, another Shaheed team. If you may not have noticed, Rashid Shaheed was one of my most drafted guys. Now he goes and gets hurt. Of course he gets hurt right when Chris Olave gets concussion. But last team we'll look at here is this mini Schnauzer team. Damn near 800 points here. We're in first place by a lot. This is another 2 QB team. Hurts, Mayfield, sick build with Kamara, White. I don't know, might have lost that role. I think we're going to be limited from RBs here just because Lloyd could be a 0. Now, he is going to come back this week off IR maybe. But we'll see. B-Rob didn't play last week. Or he did play last week. But was kind of limited. Didn't do much. Obviously, Baltimore run defense is solid anyway. But he does score 2 touchdowns. Keeps him relevant. Again, another AJ Brown stack with Mike Evans. This is the double Tampa stack. Evans Godwin, which is sick. The only zeros really will be Johnny Wilson. Everyone else is in play with AJ Brown, Olave, Evans, Godwin, Mooney, Douglas, Tolbert. Fantasy-wise, this team's crazy. With Ferguson, Goddard. This team's nice. I expect this team to do a lot. This is to win, I think, 10K. Yeah, 10K to first. It'll be sick to hit that. That's about it. I think we have some other Schnauzer teams that was a 4th place team, 3rd place team. Some other Schnauzer teams that are in it. 6th place, but need some things to fall our way. We won't look at them. A couple sit and goes that were in 1st place. This one we're in first by a decent margin. This one we're in first by a really big margin. Yeah, loving how these teams have played out. Also a 4th place team in a sit and go. It's kind of coming back, I think. Dak, Baker, DJ. Cool running back room. Estimate could take over by the end of the year. Now these sit and goes are not tournament drafts, so they go weeks 1 through 17. So that's just rest of season. There's no playoffs for these, it's just cumulative points. But pretty spicy team. And then for my weekly winners teams, still pretty banged up. I think I have a lot of Evan Ingram, but he's finally back. I have 2 CMC teams and a Puka team. Pacheco team that has Puka, Marvin Harrison is out, and Pacheco's out. Like, a lot of injuries lined up on these teams. Rashichi questionable. Like, yeah. Per usual with my weekly winners. But that's the insights on my best ball teams. I think my advance rates are 20 to 25% right now. On average, it would be like 16% because of 2 advance per 12 with most of these tournaments. Now, the little board is 4 advance, but that was also 20 rounds, and that was before the draft. Most of these tournaments that were after draft are 2 out of 12 or 1 out of 6, which is like 16%, 16.6, 16.7. So we are overperforming, and hopefully we continue that trend. But what really matters is not if we're overperforming to advance. We just need that one to hit on one of these tournaments. So we'll continue to update these on Tuesday or Wednesday for best ball recaps. We'll be back tomorrow or Friday for our week 7 preview, most likely tomorrow before the Thursday night game, actually. But we'll give some insights on injuries, talk about the game tomorrow night, which is going to be pretty ugly. So maybe we don't even talk about tomorrow night. Maybe we do Friday for our preview week 7, and then recap the Thursday night game on Friday. Just because, again, the Broncos-Saints game is going to be ugly. There's going to be no Pat Surtain, no Derek Carr, no Shaheed, no Olave, with a banged-up Kamara. Spencer Rattler versus Bo Nix. So, going to be one of the worst Thursday night football games, possibly of all time. But we'll be watching it. Hope you guys will be too. Again, like I said, like, subscribe, comment. Appreciate you guys for coming out. Peace.